India, the land of ancient wisdom and vibrant diversity, bears a scar, a deep, festering wound that speaks of a pain often ignored, a narrative deliberately suppressed. This is the story of terrorism against Hindus in India, a saga of suffering stretching back decades, a truth hidden in plain sight. From the snowy peaks of Kashmir to the bustling streets of Mumbai, the stain of targeted violence against Hindus has seeped into the fabric of our nation. Families shattered, lives extinguished, and a community left to grapple with the trauma of unacknowledged persecution. This is not a tale of blame, but a plea for recognition. A call to confront the uncomfortable reality that has been swept under the rug for far too long. It is time to break the silence and acknowledge the victims, to honor their stories with the dignity of truth. It is time, at last, to speak of the unspeakable. 1990. A year etched in the memory of every Kashmiri Pandit as the year paradise turned into a graveyard of dreams. The night the valley echoed with the chilling chants of Raleave, Galeeve ya Chaleeve, convert, die or leave. Driven from their ancestral homes by a wave of Islamist terror, over 300,000 Kashmiri Pandits became refugees in their own country. Their crime, their faith. The world watched in silence as a community was ethnically cleansed, their temples desecrated, their women violated. The promised land of Kashmir became a symbol of their exile, a constant reminder of the home they could no longer return to. 3 decades have passed, yet justice remains elusive. The perpetrators roam free while the victims live with the scars of that fateful night, their cries for recognition swallowed by the deafening silence of apathy. The flames of religious hatred have engulfed India on numerous occasions, leaving behind a trail of charred lives and shattered families. The 1993 Bombay blasts, orchestrated by Dawood Ibrahim, ripped through the heart of the nation, killing over 250 people, mostly Hindus. Years later, in 2002, the Godhra train burning saw 59 Hindu pilgrims, including women and children, burnt alive returning from Ayodhya. The incident, a horrific display of targeted violence, sparked riots and retaliatory attacks. While the retaliatory violence was widely condemned, the initial act of burning innocent pilgrims alive received comparatively less attention. The narrative, it seemed, was already being shaped, the victims conveniently forgotten. These incidents, separated by years, united by hate, exposed a dangerous trend, a selective outrage that amplified certain acts of violence while downplaying others based on the identity of the victims. In a bid to create a false equivalence and downplay the very real threat of jihadist terrorism, a dangerous narrative began to take root. The myth of Hindu terror or saffron terror. This insidious term, often used without evidence, was deployed to paint Hindus as aggressors, to demonize their faith and silence their concerns. The 2007 Samjhauta Express blast, initially blamed on Hindu activists, serves as a stark example of this manufactured narrative. Despite the National Investigation Agency later clearing all accused, the damage was done. The label of Hindu terror had already been imprinted in the public psyche, further fueling suspicion and distrust. This dangerous rhetoric has real-world consequences. It emboldens extremist elements, while simultaneously disarming Hindus from effectively countering genuine threats. It creates a climate of fear and suspicion, making it increasingly difficult to have honest conversations about the challenges facing the community. The time has come to call out this manufactured narrative for what it is, a dangerous fabrication designed to silence Hindu voices and distort the truth. Section 5. The language of intimidation, silencing Hindu voices. The specter of Hindu terror is not just a matter of words, it has morphed into a powerful tool of intimidation. Hindus who dare to speak out against targeted violence, who point out the double standards and demand accountability, are often branded as Islamophobic, bigoted, or right-wing extremists. This tactic, deployed effectively in media and academic circles, serves to shut down any critical examination of radical ideologies that fuel violence against Hindus. It creates a chilling effect, discouraging open dialogue and reinforcing the very narratives that perpetuate injustice. This silencing extends beyond individuals. Legitimate national security concerns are dismissed as Islamophobia, while genuine attempts to address radicalization within certain communities are met with accusations of bigotry. The result is a dangerous environment where addressing the root causes of anti-Hindu violence becomes nearly impossible. Section 6. Double Standards and Demonization, a World Stage of Hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is staggering. While the world rightly condemns acts of violence against other religious communities, the suffering of Hindus is often met with indifference, even apathy. The same voices that champion minority rights elsewhere seem to fall silent when it comes to the plight of Hindus in India. On university campuses, young Hindus face a bewildering double standard. While the hijab is celebrated as a symbol of empowerment, the tilak, a sacred mark worn by Hindus, is often mocked and ridiculed. This blatant religious discrimination, often disguised as progressive ideology, further marginalizes Hindu students and creates a hostile environment for their faith. This hypocrisy extends to the international stage, where organizations that claim to fight for human rights often turn a blind eye to the persecution of Hindus. The selective outrage, the muted response, speaks volumes about the ingrained biases that continue to shape global perceptions. Section 7, Pahalgam 2025, the massacre that shattered the silence, April 22, 2025, Pahalgam, Kashmir, a date forever seared into our collective memory, a day that ripped away the veil of denial and exposed the brutal reality of anti-Hindu terrorism. On this day, the Resistance Front terrorists targeted a group of tourists, killing 28 innocent people. This was not a random act of violence. The terrorists specifically targeted Hindu men, demanding they recite Islamic verses. Those who couldn't were brutally executed. The world watched in horror as the gruesome details emerged, the sheer barbarity of the act sending shockwaves across the globe. The TRF, in a chilling statement, claimed responsibility for the attack, justifying it as a response to demographic changes in Jammu and Kashmir. They vowed to continue their reign of terror, targeting Hindus who they perceived as a threat to their twisted ideology. Pahalgam was a turning point. The sheer brutality of the massacre, the blatant religious targeting, made it impossible to ignore the plight of Hindus any longer. The world finally was forced to confront the uncomfortable truth. Section 8, the world takes notice. A glimmer of hope and global condemnation? In the aftermath of the Pahalgam massacre, a wave of condemnation swept across the globe. World leaders from U.S. President Trump to Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar denounced the attack, expressing solidarity with the victims and their families. The United Nations Security Council issued a rare unanimous statement condemning the heinous and cowardly act of terrorism. Even countries like Iran, often accused of supporting terrorist groups, were forced to condemn the attack. The global outcry, while a long time coming, offered a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, finally, the world was beginning to recognize the threat of anti-Hindu terrorism. However, condemnation alone is not enough. The international community must translate words into action. Sanctuaries for terrorist groups must be dismantled, financing networks disrupted, and those responsible for perpetrating these heinous acts brought to justice. Section 9. Reclaiming the narrative, truth, justice, and the path forward. The journey from recognition to justice is long and arduous, but it is a journey we must undertake, not just for the sake of the victims, but for the future of India. We must reclaim our narrative from those who seek to distort it, to silence us, to deny our pain. We must demand accountability for the crimes committed against Hindus, not with a spirit of vengeance, but with a firm resolve to ensure that such atrocities never happen again. We must challenge the double standards, the selective outrage, the dangerous narratives that perpetuate hate and division. The path forward lies in unity, in building bridges of understanding, in confronting the forces of hatred with courage and compassion. It lies in reclaiming our narrative, not with anger, but with the quiet dignity of truth. For it is in truth, and truth alone, that we will find healing, justice, and lasting peace.